We're here today talking about grief and gratitude and transformation. And that's a lot to pack into 1 hour of a Sunday morning. And we started with gratitude. And I invite you right now to think if there's anything on your heart that you're feeling grateful for this morning. If you want to say it out loud, you're welcome. Oh, you're not hearing me? All right, a little bit closer. There we go. Is that better? There you go. I'm grateful that my family's here. My wife, Karen, my daughter, Carrie, and my son, Ben, just son-in-law, Ben. It's so wonderful because Karen hurt her shoulder, so she can't come play karate. So they jumped up and said they would help us. So we are very grateful. I bet you can't guess which one's my daughter, right? But being grateful is a tremendous part of living a good life. Because gratitude is what grounds us in what is, what offers a kind of bulwark against a society that's constantly telling us we're not enough and that we need more and more and more. And finding things to appreciate reminds us that we are okay, that life is not about acquiring and getting. It's really about our relationships with the people and with the earth. And when we remember the way we are, we can shut down that inner voice, at least I have it, that keeps saying, you really do need that extra pair of shoes. They're so cute. And so what if you got enough coats? Look at this coat, one more. I have that voice, but when I can remember, I have enough. Things in my life that are really important, I have plenty of. And almost every spiritual tradition lists gratitude as a path to enlightenment, as a way to ease our sufferings that are going to be always part of life. And one of the most simplest of practices is just creating a gratitude journal where you write down what you're intentional about. And there's this comedian on Instagram, which he's talking about how his therapist has said just to make a list, a list of 5 things that make him happy every single day. And he was so mad. What he was really, really mad about was that it worked. Because he said, our brains can fool us into thinking we're unhappy, and our brains can also be fooled into believing that we actually have a lot to be happy about. But as good as gratitude is, it's not all we need. Because no matter how aware we are of all the blessings of our lives, every single life is going to be filled with pain and loss and sorrow, no matter what we do. And I think that's why this song, Cohen's Hallelujah, is such an amazing way. He grabs the wholeness of our humanity. He recognizes baffled kings and cold and lonely refrains, and says there's a blaze of light in every word, whether it's the holy or the broken hallelujah. Because all of our lives are both holy and broken, containing the full spectrum of all the emotions that sometimes we don't want to look at. And being grounded in gratitude allows us to have something to hold on to when those harsh winds blow, when the losses come, when it seems just too hard. And they might be able to stop us from running into those unhealthy reactions to stress, which I know I also have, running to the icebox or the Amazon cart, or maybe pharmaceuticals or cocktails, or maybe even just working too hard. All of those things that we kind of do to kind of convince ourselves that we're okay, or we don't have to feel what we're feeling in this moment. Have you ever you just need something, you're staying in the refrigerator, I just need something, and whatever I get from that refrigerator is not going to take away what I'm wanting to take away. So what if I just sat there and let that sadness come up and be with it? Because grieving and mourning and acknowledging the deep pain of the losses that we have in our lives reminds us of all the love that we've also had in our lives. Recognizing the hard and sad things affects our bodies, and our bodies need to give space to be able to let that pain move. Because today's purveyors of all the goods and things in the world that can buy, they want us to believe that we never have to feel bad. As Joanna Macy was saying, they've pathologized a big part of being human, and they make us feel like we're failures if we're not happy all the time. How ridiculous is that? No one can be happy all the time. At some point or another, no matter if you push and push and push, there's going to be a crash. Because grief is a natural and helpful part of life. It's the mechanism that allows us to shift from one reality where that person that we loved was in our life to this other reality when they're not there anymore. And people who are up all the time are separating themselves from the fullness of reality. It's living only at the surface is never being really present to our own lives. It can be described by some people as toxic positivity. And it can help you get by sometimes. I mean, there is definitely a place in our lives for for doing a little bit of compartmentalizing. I mean, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to put that grief in a box and just go to work. Sometimes you have to put that sadness over to the side until you get the house cleared out, until you have some space in your life to open it up and be present to it. There's nothing wrong with any of that. What's wrong with is we keep just adding one more thing to the box and one more thing to the box. And what it ends up being is, have you ever had to try to hold a beach ball underwater? And you're holding it down. You can hold one beach ball, but if somebody gives you another beach ball, you got two beach balls. And maybe if you're holding three beach balls, something distracts and poof, it all bursts out. And you and everybody around you get splashed by those emotions that were being held down all that time. I see it in small ways, like if I ignore something that's bugging me in my relationships, it might come out a little bit later as that overly sharp joke that I meant to be funny, but wasn't. And in our larger relationships, it can be maybe that thing that you keep pushing down and pushing down and pushing down until it is so big that it blows up the entire relationship. Whereas a little bit of attention in the beginning, a little bit of speaking it out loud, may have allowed it to be worked through. There's so many different types of grief in the world. There's our personal, private griefs. There's the wider collective grief, the grief that you're sharing as a community, but so many losses in this last bit of time. And some of us might even be okay in our personal lives and even in our collective lives, but also aware of this pressure, maybe coming from the outside world, this awareness of climate change, of all the things that are changing around us that we have no ability to control or take care of. And so even people who maybe are good at staying present to their smaller griefs or their community griefs are having a hard time dealing with the grief around climate change, around what's happening and how we're not talking about it. Holding down all of that grief and pain and worry and anxiety, is it any wonder we're all so exhausted? It hurts your heart. Because being of the earth and connected to the earth, connected to the web of life, this pain out in the world is also our pain. And it feels really, really big. So that if we open up to it, if we open up and let it in, we might just collapse under the weight of it, not be able to handle it. I know that's what I feel like. Sometimes I'm reading the newspaper and I just get so upset. I just want to run down my driveway and start screaming, why aren't we doing something? But there's nobody to scream at. Nobody's listening. Running away doesn't help. I mean, think about the time, this example, like when you were a kid and you were sure there was a monster under your bed. And if you just laid under the covers, the monster got bigger and bigger and bigger. If you're brave enough to flip on the light and look underneath the bed, might be some dust bunnies, maybe a spider, maybe at the worst a mouse, whatever it was, you could deal with it. If you take a look at something, sometimes it takes the terror out of it and allows us to able to touch it and deal with it. And that it might not be the best analogy for climate change because monsters aren't real. So maybe climate change ignoring is more like ignoring a screaming fire alarm. But some part of you still hears it. Some part of you still knows something bad is happening and kind of freezes us up and makes us unable to move. What do we do when we're frozen? How do we acknowledge a grief that's so big and still allows ourselves to start moving again? How can we reclaim all of that energy that it takes to hold those beach balls under the water? Same thing that spiritual leaders have been telling us for many, many years. We be present. We're fully present in the here and now by breathing in, by breathing out, by letting those grains of pain go through into our body, into our lungs, through our broken heart and out into the world, knowing the web of life can hold that pain and we do not have to hold it in our bodies. We can ground ourselves in the things that we are truly grateful for. And then from that place of connectedness, from that place of love, we can hold the suffering and let it pass. Hold the suffering, acknowledge it, and let it move out. Let that movement happen in our bodies. And there's going to be suffering because, as the Buddha described, we always want something. We always are trying to strive for something we don't have. And that's what that longing is, that suffering, even if it's someone that we loved. But none of us are about to be enlightened this weekend. None of us are going to be able to let go of all of our attachments to people and places and ideas that we loved. So what do we do so we don't suffer quite as much? And that's coming back to our breath, coming back to breathing into the pain, to seeing it, to holding it, to releasing it. I hope there's a basket of stones at the back. I hope everybody grabbed a stone as you came in. If you don't have one now, I would ask you to pass the basket around so everybody can have a stone. So I'm going to invite you, as you hold your stone, to let some of those images that maybe came up for you during our meditation, let any other pain or sorrow that's on your heart this morning, when you get the pain, when you get the stone, I'm going to invite you to hold it out in front of you. I think you're going to wait for a minute, so I'll keep talking slowly. keep reminding you of that breathing practice, of breathing in the grains of sand through your nose, throat, heart, and then out into the wider web of creation of which we are part. I should have told you to do this earlier, huh? So keep thinking about that image of breathing in and then breathing out and letting your heart, your broken heart, connect to the wider universe. Breathing in and breathing out. As you get your stone, I'm going to ask you to hold it out in front of you, up high. And as you're holding it, putting all of that hurt and the pain into that stone. And holding that for a minute. And just holding your arm up. How heavy would that stone get if you just kept holding it up in the air? If you just kept holding it, holding and holding, that stone would feel like you were holding the whole earth after a bit of time. But as you've put that pain into that stone, I'm going to invite you to come up one at a time and drop your stone into this vase of water. And as you drop the stone, the water is going to rise and spill over the edges. And it's going to represent all of those unspilled tears for all of the hurt and pain throughout our world. And if it's difficult to move and you'd like somebody to come and bring your stone up for you, just raise your hand and one of us can do that. So Carrie and Karen and Ben are going to sing a song for us, and we're going to complete that. We're going to complete that ritual of dropping your stone in the water.
loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Oh, loosen, loosen, baby. And you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. And you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Oh, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go.
Breathe again with me. Breathe in, feeling the lightness of clear air, feeling the lightness of your hearts, connected to this universe, but not holding every bit of it. The final step in this process is transformation. Transformation into a place where we can recognize, honor the pain, recognize, be grateful, and then continue to move into this world with full, open, and holy hearts, with no regrets for the past and no fear for the future, but simply being present to the multiplicity of what it means to be human, for all of the joys, for all of the pain, for everything that we hold in the face of mystery. May you carry it with you this week. I hope you have found a little bit of lightness to carry you with you this week and remind you, you are not alone. We are all in this together, and together we can hold whatever the world gives us. I'm going to invite you to rise in spirit or body and sing our closing hymn, which is number 201, Glory, Glory.
I'm going to start this super slow.